He did it. Oh my god. It worked.
It's pretty, isn't it?
You don't sound good.
Yeah.
Where'd you fall? I'll come find you and
Nah.
just tell me where you are.
Nah.
We're safe at home.
This void sits beneath the sea. Fault lines cracking in stereo. Maybe solitude will give him strength. Maybe his loneliness will let him breathe. And when the night is darkest, he sinks. It isn't perfect. It isn't pleasant. And at last, his words have a tune.
Science. Hey, just hold the hook down as long as you can. Please just tell me you're asleep.
You can hear me. We recommend you stay inside, safe and protected from malicious forces.
Thank you for joining us. We are looking for friends who believe in our ability to feel.
Lying down and taking these acts of disrespect toward ourselves lightly, we have been afforded a wonderful opportunity to live in harmony with creatures far behind codes, ideologies, and false theories to enact an agenda of capture, anarchy, and genocide. From the ashes, mightier than ever before, because we, the people, together, are going to carve out humanity's new resting ground. Anything else will be extinct. Don't lose hope. Do not let their fear tactics win. Against all forces, we are building ways.
This is a great man who died to show us the way home. It is up to us to free everyone to ensure the future of humanity. Together, we're all going to wake
Resist it. We will resist. And we will win. Because not even humanity can kill humanity.
It's hard to know how to start, so I'm just gonna do it. My name is Nat, and a month ago, after almost 5 years of running, my friend gave his life to take down a Strobe ship. Since then, our friends in Pierce's group made the call to search, clear, and set up shop in the remains of a hospital. The hope was there was some equipment their researchers and medic could use, but there's not much. Before TSV died, he gave me permission to carry on using this platform to catalog our journey and keep in contact with you all. I think that's all the housekeeping. It's scary to be back, but I guess this is what I do now. So, we're back, huh? If you all have any questions, we'll answer them over the week. Nat made me agree to keep this thing going. Also, since the ship got taken down, it got a lot colder. Not unlivable. There's still heat in the atmosphere from other parts of the world, but it fluctuates between 40 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on how far the nearest ship is. Pro tip: don't tell very serious men with guns that cuddling is a good way to keep body heat. They don't take well to it. There haven't been a lot of expeditions as of late. Tucker went on one last week to scavenge for coats and blankets in some abandoned houses, and came back with a few. Kind of funny how quickly your priorities can shift. Strobes! Right. I need to mention the strobes. Since we set up people on watch shifts, we've seen none. Since the prevailing idea is that the heating is meant to keep humans alive and ready for the picking, we think we're kind of invisible right now. I'm sure that will change as soon as there's confirmation that humans can, if uncomfortably, live in these temperatures, but we're pretty safe right now. Let me know if there are other things I'm missing. It's hard to know what's important to paint a full picture. Nat's taking the day to try and make a list of frequent repliers so she can keep track of everyone. So she asked me to tell a story about the past month. Since we got here, I've started taking more responsibility with keeping watch outside of the hospital. Since there aren't really strobes patrolling here, there's been a new threat. We're seeing Harvested slowly come out of the woodwork. That's those who looked into the red strobe light, if you all remember. Some of us had even forgotten that they were around, since we've been in more isolated areas for so long. So my job when I'm on watch is to stand around with a big gun and wait for any of them to show up. First time I saw them was tough. The other times were less tough. Nat thinks it's cruel to send me to do it, but we all have a part to play. Hey, you guys be nice to Nat, okay? She cares a lot about keeping all this account stuff running, honestly more than TSV ever did. So even if she shits the bed a couple of times, I just want everyone to be cool about it. Thanks. You don't have to ask them to be nice to me. I can handle this. You're not sleeping. That's not an answer. It absolutely is. He was my friend too, but he hid behind this responsibility when things got tough. And you're doing it too, and things aren't even tough right now. Things are always tough. Just don't lose yourself. In the music, or the moment even. Yes, Nat, you're very charming. You need any more blankets? I'll be fine. Thank you. You're welcome. Night. Night. Hello, Natalia. We're a very big fan of what your recently passed friend did, spreading advice and creative a community. Don't worry, we're not here to pretend the act of speaking to many is valuable, and attempt to imprison you in the name of influence. We found we the people's actions to be childish and short-sighted. What we want is to honor your friend, and carry on his legacy in tandem with your new tenure as TSV. We await your response. Nat showed me the text. I don't like this. I don't like it one bit. I told her to block and move on. Something about this doesn't smell right. But she's nice and not listening to me. Hello, I'm curious how you got this number. And a little worried. We figured out your area code and sent this message to every working number within the area code. The assumption was since there aren't many of us left, we could minimize false positives. This assumption was correct. What do you want from us? Forgive for what we are about to ask, but we want to know the location of TSV's sacrifice. We do not want to harm you or even come to you face to face. We just want to survey the ground to prove where TSV's remains have ended up, and if it can prove our theory about the nature of the world. What's the theory? That the end of one's life is their release from this planet. I know everybody wants us to stay safe, and the red flags are up, but we need to trust people until they give us a good enough reason not to. TSV, we were all alone for so long, and we can't be alone anymore. I know some of you are not fans of my decision to continue this conversation at all, but I need you to trust me to not put myself or my friends in danger. Hey kid, loving the confidence and putting your foot down. Seriously, I'm very proud of you. But this isn't the move. If this wasn't the move, none of us would have met. This is different. This feels different. That's not good enough for me. I'm sorry. Okay, we get it. But you need to understand that there isn't a lot of time. People will come looking for the answers we seek. You can either tell us the specifics, or we could just head into the cold spot and start looking ourselves. Your hesitation is smart, and in any other world you would be commended. But I cannot hide my frustration at this time. He's not good for you. He's paranoid. You do not get to talk about him that way. I am defending you. I am trying to work with you. Don't you dare insult him. You need to see the truth, Natalia. You don't get to decide what I need to see. We're entering the cold spot. If you won't wake up, that's no longer our problem. If you want to help, our door is always open. But we're not going to wait for you. We have a job to do. I'm worried about Nat. I hope TSV didn't screw her up permanently with all this. So Tucker's letting me sit with him on watch. Says I need to get out of my head a bit. It's quiet here. Kind of boring, but it's nice. So bored. Tucker is way better at 20 questions than I thought he would be. He's not supposed to be on his phone on watch, but he wanted me to say it's because I pick obvious things. Apparently somebody caught wind of some harvested en route. Tucker's eye is on the sights of the gun. He looks serious. I don't love it. 5 of them. 5 shots. I'll give it to Tucker. He's good at this. His face is darker. Sadder. Maybe this is what every watch shift is like. There's a 6th. A kid. Tucker's waiting to hear orders. His hand is shaking. The order came in. Not to shoot. Some of the guys on the ground are going to pick the kid up and see if he's not a direct threat. I think I saw Tucker cry a little when he heard. I think I'm going to go to bed. I don't want to be up here anymore. He's calloused. If you want us to free him from this burden, send him to the real world with TSV. We can. If you want it, that can also be arranged. But I think we both know you have much more work to do here than he does. I'm sending over the coordinates. You tricked us and sent us right into strobe territory, you bitch! We will not forget this. Don't threaten my friend. Lucid will grow and you will fucking fall. After Nat sent them to the trap, she excused herself. I know I've already said it, but be nice to her. This is a lot, and even though it needed to happen, it's never easy to send someone to their death. The wrong coordinates were smart as hell, though. Gotta give her props on that one. I did the right thing, didn't I? I might have sent people to die, but we have to be vigilant. I keep saying stuff like that, but it feels hollow and gross. I just want somebody to be worth the time. I have one person left in the entire world. Other good people have to exist, though, right? Like, Tucker's great, he's amazing, but there's gotta be other good people out there. Update. When the harvested group I saw with Tucker showed up, we found a child among them. He seems docile, so he wasn't executed, but he's been brought in and kept in captivity. He's maybe 8? So he would have been 3 when all this started. He doesn't speak any, so he doesn't have a name. He has one eye that's cloudy like a harvested, and one big brown sweet normal eye. So they've started calling him half-crop. Some of the military guys snicker when they say it. Yeah, the mutilated child is really hilarious. He doesn't do much. He just sits on the floor in this room in the hospital basement and runs his hands over the floor constantly. I only got to see him for a couple of minutes. Anytime he so much as stands up, we have to leave the room for safety. Right now the question is if half-crop might hurt us, or if he has anything going on at all. If there's nothing, he could be a strain on resources. We haven't heard anything back from Lucid since Nat sent them off. Maybe those final messages were a death rattle. Maybe they were a threat. But either way, it seems to be the end of transmission. So that's something. If they're We the People, they have a new name. And a new goal, it seems. So, it's at least new. So, the ships have started to reorganize, adjusting to the gap. Today, that means our temperature is dropping. Like around 30 degrees Fahrenheit colder. We're stocked up on blankets and other heat sources, including some portable space heaters. But everyone's pretty worried about food. They've been using grow lights to make some sustainable food like vegetables and such. And we even have 2 chickens that lay the occasional egg. The chickens are being monitored, so hopefully they'll make it through the cold. The chickens died. There's going to be a stew tonight, and after that, no more eggs. Given the food shortage and the temperature, nobody wanted to take charge of keeping an eye on Half-Crop anymore, so I volunteered for that. He's quiet. It's nice to be alone with my thoughts while I'm down there. No Lucid, no We the People, no anybody. Just me. Hey, you know where I stand on the whole harvested kid thing, but you should know, people are building a case to Pierce about exiling the kid. So if you want to say a one-sided goodbye soon, you should start preparing it. Idea! Okay, so Half-Crop can't talk. We know that. But maybe he can write. Knows in some way what words are. If I give him my phone, maybe he can write something. Kids learn words real early, just the basic stuff, right? Dragon, Dutch, Coco, October, Crush, I'm up, I'm in, in, ed, as was, XX, cook, do so, do, enough, taxi, FBI, CK. I don't have a pen, but I can look for something for him to draw with. Yeah, maybe that'll be better. Or even pictures. He could talk through drawings. Multiple people have said pictures. Maybe he thought he was drawing on the phone screen. Phones do that, slide on the keyboard to make a word thing. He's just scratching at the floor. His hands are starting to get bloody, and he's just smearing the blood around with one finger. So that's disturbing. I don't think he's eaten in a couple of days. Got stopped by one of the resistance guys on my way back from watching Half-Crop. He made it very clear that Half-Crop and I are disposable cargo, to use his exact words. So, that was a lovely interaction. What was his name? Kyle, I think? Okay. He won't be bothering you anymore. Why? What did you do? I got suspended from watch shifts for the weekend. But even when Kyle is recovered, he won't be allowed to be anywhere near you or the kid. So a couple of you guys mentioned that maybe Half-Crop was trying to draw something. I found a piece of paper to give to him. Maybe he can trace what he's trying to draw with his finger, and I can figure it out. So, he understood the paper. He clawed at his own skin until it bled, and used the blood to try and draw. I don't know what he's drawing, but he gave me back this. I asked around to see if anybody had a pencil or anything, but they don't. It's something, though, right? If he can communicate, that's a human thing. Then he'll be alright. This looks like clouds and a ship. It kinda does. I know we all have a lot of theories. I hope if I can find a proper writing utensil, we can have a clearer image. But if it's a ship, I honestly don't know what it means. This shows he's trying to say something. It can also show he has fine motor functions, meaning he can pick up a weapon and use it. This is how they're thinking right now. I'm sorry, but this isn't good enough. What if I found an actual writing utensil? He doesn't seem to get phones, but he gets paper. I can get a pencil or something. That's so dangerous. They wouldn't let you run out for a pencil right now. But they'd let me look for food? And maybe I just happen to find a pencil? Please, please don't do this. I have a watch shift. I can't go with you. I'll be okay. I'll be back in 2 days, and then nobody can say you and I are useless, right? Headed out from the base this morning. They've already sent their professional scouts out, so nobody's expecting anything from me. I'm not trained with firearms, so they gave me a knife for protection. Trying to think of it as nice and not condescending. Oh. Oh, no. So I'm going to grab this and get back to base. This is bad. This is really, really bad. There's a pencil in the box, though. Hey, it's Tucker. Just to update, we have confirmed that We the People was recently in the area. They're back. I don't know who's heading it, but they're using the same name. They were located out of an abandoned supermarket, but they seem to have recently left. Some of the guys cleared the place last night. Nat's a little shaken up by everything, obviously. But even though it was from We the People, there were a lot of sealed cans of non-perishables. And it'll keep us going for a while. She bought the harvested kit a lot more time. Do you ever think about your first few days after the change? All the time. Why? I've just been thinking about my family. Thinking about Flynn. Thinking about how much easier it was to let go of the people who died quickly. My family died fast. It's awful. But I didn't have to be the one to kill them. I'm really sorry, Tuck. I'm just saying, even though someone might be a threat, it doesn't mean it's not scary. And you shouldn't feel bad about that fight or flight instinct. Good. Because I'm going to feel bad about it for a few days. Better than me. I felt bad about it for a few years. You're already crushing my record. Don't try to make me smile. I'm not trying anything. I'm succeeding. Hey, can you bring the drawing stuff down to half crop? I can't be in there right now, looking at his cloudy eye. Of course. Consider it done. We got it. Proof of life. Hey, they're doing a vote about HC next week. You need to prepare what you're going to say. Okay, thanks. Pro tip. Remember the radio broadcast? Yeah. The advice we gave was for people to stay inside, safe, and protected from malicious forces. Throw that one back in their face if you're losing. Honor and consistency are a hell of a combo to military guys. You're gonna vote to keep him around, right? Yeah, I'll vote to keep him around. Thank you, Tucker. Seriously, thank you. You got it. We took the vote the other day and it was close, but half crop gets to stay for a while. Most of the people voting to keep him around were civilians. Me and Nat and the medic in the camp. Nat was so happy she started to cry. It was nice. Like those old stories of kids making $100 at a lemonade stand to pay for medical bills. Just seeing people be proud of themselves. I can't thank you enough, Tuck. Thank you. Now I guess the next step is seeing what else Half Crop can draw. The medic's doing some tests on him today. But when I'm on watch, I'll tell Half Crop a bit about Tucker and me and see if anything strikes inspiration. If it works, we can keep building communication. I want to talk about TSV, about Tucker, about the last 5 years. Maybe it's selfish, but it'd be nice just to tell someone about it all. And at least I know he won't interrupt. So, I got a drawing back from Half Crop. I showed it to Tucker before posting it, but it's of him and his old friend Flynn. I guess this is a story Half Crop really liked, weirdly enough. Tucker's okay. He asked to be alone with it for a while, but I don't think he was mad. I don't even know why I mentioned that as part of the story. It just came out when I was talking. I apologized to Tucker a lot, but he said it was fine. I still feel really bad. After all Tucker's done for us. I just hope he didn't take it the wrong way. Tucker volunteered to watch Half Crop this morning, and I walked by and heard him talking. It was really sweet. He just said, Thank you for not making me look like a monster. Okay. I think we have a small problem. There's someone coming up to the base. Not a harvested. They're moving too erratically. Fuck. One of our guys went out to talk to him. And while the new guy was talking, he spat up some dark water. This is a We the People member. About an hour ago, a member of the new We the People showed up. He was let in. Tucker and a lot of other people are watching like hawks right now to see if this is a trap. I'm sitting with Half Crop, trying not to panic. He's just sitting, not even knowing that things are really scary right now. The We the People guy just walked out of the front door, led out by Pierce. They shook hands. Pierce spoke with all of us. This new We the People offered food in exchange for peace, and Pierce said yes. Some of us are obviously quite angry with this, but it happened. I haven't been able to sleep much, with the cold and Half Crop and all the drama. This is just another wrench thrown into everything. If I fall asleep, what if We the People comes, and there's more of them than we thought, and they take over and keep us locked up again? That I can't let that happen. I could deal with one person being difficult and dangerous, but I can't deal with We the People being fully back. I can't deal with us just letting them be here. The food was a threat, right? It had to be a threat. We got a lot more food from the We the People Scout today. It's enough to keep us going for a couple of weeks, if we ration properly. I let everyone else eat. I couldn't. I don't know if it's safe. Nobody had any problems with the food. There wasn't anything tainted or poisoned or off. I had a few saltines. They were still in the packaging. It was so good. I'm sorry, but they were delicious. Pierce spoke with me today. He had a letter from me. He had a letter for me from the We the People Scout. Here's what it said, edited to fix spelling and grammatical mistakes. Hello, Nat. We want to prove that our past indiscretions do not reflect who we are now. How you and your friends, but you especially, were treated was an abject horror. We do not expect trust, but we hope to one day earn it. Our first gift was to prove our intention. Our subsequent gifts are to prove our consistency. While we are on opposite ideological sides of this battle, there is no reason to resort to cruelty and force. As the world changes, we must change with it. Our door and our hospitality is always open to you and any of your associates. After the awful actions of our former head of communications, we want to rebuild and go about our journey of survival and coexistence in a new, enlightened way. We thank you for the opportunity to do so. With regards, We the People, new and improved. This sounds like a YouTuber apology video script. LOL. Today has been a stressful, weird day. This is the joke that was the best at making me forget how scared I am. Thank you, Joseph. This We the People Scout has been coming every day for almost a week now. Never stays the night, but always shows up with a bag of some sort and then leaves a few hours later without it. It's keeping us fed and safe while we weather the cold spot. Nat's not sleeping. I'm not sleeping. He just left again. I asked around to see if he had a name. He does. Samir. I was finishing up watching Half Crop when I ran into the We the People Scout, Samir. He was being escorted around by the medic. He spoke to me, and his voice was dark and wet, and he was coughing up the stuff. Even though I didn't get close, I could smell the smell of the stuff. The smell is subtle, but you don't forget that stuff. It's just not fair. It's not fair at all. The only time I can get my mind off of everything is when I'm sitting with Half Crop. We need to figure out that new name. But I can't, because the freaking medic is watching and running tests. How many tests does he need to run anyway? We did all of this to keep this kid safe, to make sure he was fed and healthy and could heal, and they're going to give him the stuff that killed TSV. Am I losing my mind? What kind of doctor? What sort of Hippocratic oath? The stuff clouds you. It hurts you. Does he think just because TSV can handle being a little too warm, it's a superpower? It's not. I know this. He doesn't know it. I know it. So, last night, Samir came back a second time. I decided to walk around and I overheard him talking with the medic and Pierce. The medic wants to give Half-Crop some dark water and see how he'll react. The sun vanished. Samir's back. Go to Half-Crop right now. I tried to block the medic from taking Half-Crop. He dodged my questions and just walked right past me. The Mad Joy, do something. So, update for everyone. Tucker went to stop the medic from injecting Half-Crop with dark water. There was a struggle, and the medic got hurt. Pretty badly. The assistant medic is taking care of him now in the infirmary. He's gonna live, but he got messed up. Tucker is detained. He doesn't have his phone or anything. Half-Crop is back in his room, and we're only allowed to watch him in teams of 2 to prevent unnecessary emotional attachment. I think Pierce's big worry was that Samir would take this personally and go back on our deal, but that hasn't happened. Apparently, if it had, Tucker would have been kicked out completely. I want so badly to feel bad, to feel like Tucker did the wrong thing. I don't. I got this picture from Half-Crop today. He understands everything. From Tucker. This sucks. I'm fine. I don't regret anything. Everyone should just go about their days and be normal. So, it's good that he's not losing what makes him Tucker. So, to distract myself, I wanted to do something. We've talked about Half-Crop needing a proper name. I want to put it to a vote. Here are my favorite suggestions so far. It's been a bit since Tucker's been putting grown-up time out. It's lonely not having him around. Some days I get to bring him food. Some days I get to bring him his food for the day, though. So that's fun. I've been spending every day sitting with Theseus, formerly known as Half-Crop, telling stories, going through our old videos and tweets, letting him draw whatever he wants. It's not always the most coherent stuff. I'm only showing off what Tucker called a splash page, which I think is when a picture is big and takes up a whole piece of paper. It's like a portfolio. I used to worry so much about making a journalism portfolio when I had to think about college. I had some good stuff in there. I mean, good for a kid, but still, it had potential. Is it my fault that Tucker's locked up again? Tucker only gave a crap about Theseus because of me. I know he flies off the handle. I should have been more careful and not added any more allegiances. I'm sorry, Tuck. I'm really sorry. Whoa, sorry about that. Had one of the old school TSV self-pity tweets. I'm genuinely okay. It all just got the better of me for a bit. No disrespect meant to TSV. I'm pretty sure he would have found that funny. Today, when I was sitting with Theseus, Samir came and wanted to talk. He kept his distance, which was decent of him. And he apologized for giving Dr. Kevins the dark water. He claims he didn't realize Theseus was the child I was watching. And while we the people is still monitoring this account, he doesn't have an interest in it. I don't believe him, but it was nice to be apologized to. It was also nice to not forgive him, not even a little bit. That felt really good. I offered to take Tucker his food again, but was told I wasn't allowed to. Pierce is going to today. I hope everything's alright. I felt a lot of things in my time on this earth, and I have never felt anything worse than being indebted to we the fucking people. Resistance Prison is a hell of a lot better than We the People Prison. I'll give them that. Nobody's trying to pump anybody full of poison, the food's less terrible, and there's less of a sinking feeling of oncoming death. So yeah, the better of my 2 prison experiences. Sat with Theseus today with Tucker. He drew this from the video of TSV's sacrifice. I think it's really good for Tucker to see how we're perceived, that we're all doing some real good, and helping people where we can. Seems every day I'm not on watch shifts or hanging out with Tucker, this drippy a-hole finds a way to try to talk to me. You want to know what it was today? I hope we can be allies in the future. I can make sure no resistance harms you or your friends. Like, I'm sorry. You're trying to pit me against the people who saved us from we the people the last time? Textbook manipulation. I don't even care that Tucker got locked up for doing what was right. These are still the good guys. We are with the good guys. I'm spending too much time looking at the replies. I'm sorry, I'm getting riled up. Still only eating the food that's come in packaging. The fresh stuff is too vulnerable, but it looks so good. You ever added extra salt to a saltine? It'll make you question your priorities. Is it horrible to want for something else crazy to happen? When Tucker was away or that Lucid person was texting me, I could focus on that. Now, everything is simple, and I have so much time to just think. All anybody can talk about is how good everything is right now. How thankful they are that Samir came in and saved us. I like seeing everybody happy, I really do. But I feel a little crazy right now, still having my guard up. I haven't had a watch shift for Theseus in 2 days. I need to schedule one. It always calms me down to see him. So I saw Theseus, not at his cell. One of the other civilians doing watch shifts held his hand and walked him to me. I guess the worry about him being a threat is over, and he can walk around with us. Not that I'm not excited, it's just weird. Seeing him trotting along down the halls. It's really sweet, actually. He walks with purpose. Theseus mostly hangs out in my room. Sometimes he'll walk around a bit to stretch his legs. This is good. It's good that he's not cooped up. But having a scheduled time to sit with him gave me a lot of structure. How much have you been sleeping? 833 minutes so far this week. You're getting antsy again, kid. I know there are good reasons to be worried, but you're starting to spook me a little. I'll sleep when I'm not in survival mode. I don't think we're in survival mode right now. Shit. Nat's asleep right now, thank God. But Dr. Kevins is healed enough that he can start walking around again. I was told not to engage with him. I'm sure he was told the exact same thing. I'm gonna tell Nat as soon as she wakes up, but she doesn't need another thing to stress her out. Things are genuinely okay right now. We have food. Everyone is less tense. I even tried some of the fresh food that Samir sent over. It was really good. Better than even the best stuff the Resistance guys were making. You did what? What the hell is wrong with you? You just went to sleep. Why are you awake? I have notifications on from when you tweet, obviously. So Tucker and I talked, and he said all the food we the people have sent appears to be completely safe. So I tried some. I had a single bite of a tomato slice, and I immediately felt a lot better. Not in a poisoned way, in a deprived of food way. I think I've been a little paranoid and a little snippy. And I'm sorry to you all. Obviously this calm period is uniquely stressful, but I'm not very good with calm periods regardless. Even when we were in the We the People cell and stuck doing nothing, I had things to stress over, plans to make. Now I just feel stuck. And the medic's around again. I guess I'm happy he's okay as long as he doesn't try anything with Theseus again. Sleep debt is a real thing, everyone. I tried as best as I could to rest up this weekend, but I still feel just completely exhausted. Or maybe it's just that whenever Samir shows up, I find myself in a terrible mood. This was today's nugget of friendship. I don't want you to close yourself off to the possibility that I'm actually trying to help you. What does that even mean? It's not like I think Samir is a bad person, but with everything I've gone through, they have a way of walking, and I hear it and can't help but tense up. Their feet sloshing around on the floor, leaving a little puddle behind them if they're not careful. Not a pleasant sound. I still don't trust that the medic gets to sit at the table with everyone and eat like he's not a monster. Why did you pull me away from dinner last night? You just kept staring at Kevin's. It was fucking weird. Because he's an attempted murderer? I know that better than you do. I got my ass handed to me because of how well I know that. But we have to be cool, be collected. I don't know how you can even say that. Because the people here do not like us, Nat. And that's my fault. And I'm sorry for making things worse. I truly am. But we can't both be flying off the handle and being weird. I lost my chance, and again, I'm sorry. But you need to be the composed one right now. Because your little Darkwater secret admirer can only pull so many strings before there aren't any left. You going to say anything? Nat? I'm sorry, none of this is your fault. Obviously, I didn't mean it like that. There are threats all around. And I'm not being uncomposed when I say that. I'm being honest. Just woke up from a nap. It's loud outside. Need to see what's going on. At least I know it doesn't involve Half-Crop this time. He's in my room drawing. One of many. There's this message on my phone. It's from the same number the Lucid text came from. Something's happening in the main hall. Oh my god. The medic is dead. Dr. Kevins has been killed inside the Resistance base. We were all ordered back to our rooms to stay the night. Only approved personnel could be around right now. I talked to Tucker. He's in his room. And Half-Crop is in here with me. Dr. Kevins was killed. Drowned in dark water. This is not good. People are going to think Tucker did this. Half-Crop finished what he's been drawing the past day and a half. He saw this happen. He knows. Hey everyone, it's Tucker. As you all noticed, Nat started forgetting things the last time she talked to you all, being kind of disoriented. Turns out all the stress and lack of sleep killed her immune system, and she got pretty sick. Human sick. Normal sick. No signs of dark water poisoning or anything, but her fever was high and she wasn't the most aware. Sorry for not reaching out sooner. Theseus and I have spent basically every day by her side, and she's finally starting to get better. I wanted to give you all updates on everything that's been going on. As you know, the medic who attempted to experiment on Theseus, Dr. Kevins, was found dead, drowned in dark water. I was under suspicion for a while, but was cleared since I was in my room at the time. I reached out to the number of this Lucid person and tried to get answers from them, but they played coy for a while. We only want to talk to Natalia, and things like that. It's not even her full name, it's Natalie. She's not a Russian spy. Eventually they understood, and agreed to send someone in secret to meet with Pierce and give the information they know. Nobody knows if it's a trap or if they're just lying. But we're in our rooms waiting for them to arrive, meet, and leave. Their stipulations. Hi everyone, it's me again. It's Nat. Tucker was kind enough to fill you all in yesterday. But I wanted to let you all know I'm okay. Tucker's going to the general meeting to get updates on what Pierce learned last night, and I'm sure he'll fill you guys in. Nat, you need to get in here right now. So Lucid knew one thing, why the medic wanted to experiment with dark water. On their way out, they left papers explaining that Pierce wants to recreate TSV's sacrifice by pumping more people full of the poison and turning them into weapons. It's a madhouse here. Theseus, Tucker, and I got out of the mess and let everyone yell their hearts out, but it's bad. We're not going to stay here much longer. Everyone's been brought to the meeting room. There's news. Everyone's very, very jumpy. They found who killed Dr. Kevins, some low-level guy I'd only seen in passing. Wanted to get a jump start on this recreation project, so he'd been stealing dark water. They killed him. The room went completely silent. I don't know if they would have turned their guns on us if we made a fuss, but nobody wanted to try. Tucker came to talk to me and Theseus. We're leaving tomorrow morning. We're on the move now. Slipped out without being seen, running about as fast as we can. We'll update more when we can. We're all safe. We stole a car, getting as far away as we can. I feel terrible that we couldn't stay. I wanted to stay, but it's just not safe anymore. I'm sorry we had to go so fast. I feel like there are a lot of questions left unanswered. Tucker's driving now, and while we're no longer in the cold spot, we're keeping an eye out for strobes. So fire away with any questions. Jeez, Theseus has been drawing in the back seat, and he just finished this. I'm glad he didn't see more of the Resistance's execution, but I don't know. I hope it's not weighing on him too much. Tucker found some colored pencils about a week ago and apparently was saving them as a surprise. And I think he was right that this journey was the right time. We're not being careless about this. We're avoiding cities and basically any lights we see. But in the distance, as we were driving, I could have sworn I saw a strobe. Everything's been peaceful for so long, you forget how fucking scary they are. At a resting point, Tucker's sleeping. I'm keeping an eye out, gonna be back on the move in a few minutes. I didn't see the strobe he was talking about, but it really rattled him. For as much trouble as we made back at the base, at least we didn't have to think about this. That courage, it's a muscle, you know? You have to train it and get ready to think about facing this horrible thing. Feels like 5 years ago, just wandering around hoping not to die. Time to scrounge. We're on the outskirts of a city. I told Tucker to wait with Theseus in the car and keep an eye on everything. It's going to be hard adjusting to exclusively canned crap again. I shouldn't have held off on Samir's food for as long as I did. I wonder if anything bad happened to him after we left. Not that I really care, but I don't think I'd want him dead. Nat, I see strobe lights. We're going to circle and get to a safer place. It's about a half a click away. The strobe Tucker saw in the distance was a broken streetlight, by the way. Not a strobe. Jackpot. We found a house 30 minutes from any city. We might be staying here for a while. Tucker, the beautiful genius that he is, nabbed one of the grow lights and a few seed bags on our way out. Gotta find a power source, but we're going to be okay. Been setting everything up in the new place, and I found Theseus's sketch page from when he was getting questioned while I was out being all sick and feverish. Just kinda cool to see how he conceptualizes the questions he was asked. I wish we had a fridge I could pin all the pictures to. TSV would have liked to see this. Us being safe. I know we were safe at the base, but Nat wasn't happy. It would bother her constantly. I don't think she showed you all a tenth of what she was feeling. Hopefully this can be better. I wonder if it would have worked though, pumping a bunch of people full of dark water and turning them into human nukes. Not saying it's right, but I don't even know if you can recreate exactly what happened to TSV. Biologically or genetically or whatever. For those curious, the house we found is kind of like a small farmhouse, miles away from anything else. It's a good place to be free from strobes, and the harvests seem to pop up much more often in cold spots, so I'm feeling good about this. As good as I can, at least. We have a problem. Tucker's asleep, and his phone buzzed. I saw this message from an unknown number. Send over your coordinates, so we can check up on you and Natalie if need be, and our deal will be complete. New text. Hello, Natalie. We'll save you the trouble of trying to remember Tucker's passcode. It's Lucid. Another one. See, one of our inside men found out about the good doctor's plan and alerted Tucker. This was a good few weeks back, right when he got out of his timeout in the resistance camp. In exchange for finding a fall guy for him, so full of the water he wouldn't remember what had happened, Tucker would keep us aware of where you two end up. If it's any consolation, killing the medic was the only true course of action. The boy would have ended up dead. He said he would tell you when things were safe. We're sorry for robbing him of a chance for honesty, but things never work out so smoothly, do they? I don't know what to do. I'm scared. An innocent person died, and I had to see it, and Theseus had to see it. Shit, I just woke up and I can't find Nat or Theseus anywhere. I just saw her tweets. Nat, if you can see this, I'm sorry. Please text me. Please be okay. I won't be responding to any replies to this post. I'm sorry. Tucker, I don't trust you right now. Theseus and I are safe. I get why you did what you felt was best to protect us. But you killed someone and got another guy executed for it. Until I'm ready to come back, you'll get one message from me a day, letting you know I'm alive. You'll respond in kind so I'll know you're alive. Okay? Yeah, that's fine. Good. I found this going through the stuff Nat and Theseus left behind. I guess we talked about the Resistance plan so much that this is how he made sense of it. He's really talented. Alive. Alive. I don't want to send a picture of the text from Nat every day. It depresses me. Until I say otherwise, the texts keep coming, okay? Does that work for everyone? I think I'm going to take a break from being TSV for now. I'm not great at it, am I? I did my best, but I wouldn't consider myself an all-star at it. Right now, I'm just going to be Nat, and take care of this sweet little artist drawing at my feet as I type this. Maybe one day I'll be good enough at being me that I can try being TSV again, when nobody's going to get shot because I'm exhausted or sick or panicking. Not TSV signing off, just Nat, logging off for a bit. And that was The Sun Vanished up to the current point. So let me kind of explain. The story's gone on a temporary hiatus. It's hard to say how long it's going to take, but I know that the original creator and the other creators involved, they're all kind of doing other separate things at the moment. These things happen, nothing wrong with that. I think it's important we credit the people properly. So we'll go over the creator of The Sun Vanished. This is Theo Wish. They have a Twitter page. They've also got a website here. I'll pop all the links down in the description below, where you can support them on Ko-fi. I don't know how you pronounce it. They've also got a YouTube channel that they wanted me to mention, which, by the way, has a couple of Sun Vanished things on there. Hint, hint. But they're also working on an animated horror web series coming up, Meek. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for that. Next up is the writer for The Sun Vanished. This is Davy Peppers. They got a Twitter page here as well, and they also have their own proper website. Yet again, I'll pop all the links in the description below. They also appear in the story as the character Danyan. I know, quite cool, right? Quite cool. And last but not least, we have Go-Go of 555 Comic. We've got the Twitter page here as well. And then, if you remember, at the one point in the story, they were talking about how to keep up with the characters, going through a specific website, which is this website. Pretty cool stuff. Yet again, all the links will be in the description below. I just thought it was appropriate that we go through it properly. Thank you all so very much. But let's go ahead and dissect and talk about The Sun Vanished. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down kind of part by part, because I think it's going to be a little easier for everybody to digest. And it's going to fit really well when this goes in the big mega video as well. So, part 1. Right, the first hour that we covered, the first year, you kind of had the introduction of the scenario, right? And our main character, TSV, we don't ever learn their true name, but it's just good that we'll go by TSV. And obviously, they're the first account that really starts narrating this whole situation, showing us pictures, videos, all this chaos and chaotic things that have happened. The fact that the sun is disappeared or gone or whatever. But clearly, as time goes on, things get kind of cold and other spots are hot and things. You slowly kind of unravel what really is going on. Because obviously the sun actually hasn't vanished because, then eventually an entire ice age would happen. I mean, you're talking about like a big manner of cosmic problems that will go on. So obviously that's not exactly what's happened. It's more like there's been a blockade, really, of almost like a veil covering of the planet in a sort of sense. Or maybe it's just like a... Because I don't really remember if they were able to see stars or anything like that. I think they maybe can, but it's not always very established because it's not really a big thing they're trying to do is look at the skies and stuff like that. Anyway, so obviously TSV is our main character we get introduced to. We see a lot of pretty much the entire story revolves around them and their exploits, which is really cool. And then there's a lot of really good storytelling elements. There's obviously the best friend, quote unquote, character Danyan, which we get introduced to quite early on, and you can't tell if you should trust him or not. I love the fact there's a level of interactivity with the Twitter people and everything. There's a lot of really fun things that go into it, right? There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of just world building. There's a lot of great storytelling. There's so much really brilliant things that go in this. Like good video, good images, tons of fun. We also get introduced to Tucker and to Nat. Oh, excuse me. And obviously they also bring their own kind of perspective in the situation. They've got their own quests, their own problems, but they all interact with each other in a way. And luckily, we get the capability of being able to see that. But according to a lot a lot of things online, including the official Discord and a variety of different websites and stuff. They're basically the main characters, right? They are the cruxes that we're following. They're the important characters. There's a variety of little spin-offy things and cameos and goofiness and replies, reposts, people trying to get into the story and everything like that. There's tons of that, as will happen in these things. But those are the three main ones that we're following. And so yeah, we get introduced to all of them. We kind of learn a little bit about their backstories and the situation going on and everything. But for the most part, it's just kind of try to survive, try to get on with other people, figure out what's really going on. You get introduced to the strobes, headlights, flickers, whatever you want to call them, and you learn a couple little things. Nothing too intensely amazing to learn right away. It's more just survival instinct, right? Survival, figure out the situations we're in, learn what we can, do what we can to not die. That's the first year. A lot of establishing things, a lot of creation of the world. Really, really good. Really fantastic foundation. A lot of good stuff in there. Part 2 is kind of it's more of a continuation, but then it's also a lot more of establishing the threats, right? Which is obviously that there's the idea that there's ships. There's obviously the strobes seem to have like some kind of, I'm not going to call it sentience, but they clearly have an understanding of how things are. There's the idea of the fact that there's patrol routes that are being used by these ships and the strobes, and we also understand that there's this kind of group. This I mean, you could call them a resistance group, freedom fighters, whatever you want to call them, but they're a little twisted, a little dark in the head. We the people, obviously. Then you've also got people who get very exposed to dark water that kind of change their demeanors, and a lot of them kind of go crazy or whatever. It's really interesting, and some of them also were like, oh my god, yeah, because of that I could see the sun again, and there's tons of madness that goes on. You get a lot of really cool little story stuff that happens, like Tucker goes to find Nat. Obviously, you learn the stuff about what happened with Nat's past and everything with the mom and the dad and everything. Really, really interesting. They ended up linking up and they kind of stick together as a unit for the most part. Basically like a brother-sister type situation. I mean, yeah, other people might say otherwise, but it's like, yeah, no. Don't make it weird. But they have their own wacky fun adventures. They also have spats, as people do, because obviously you're in an apocalypse scenario, aren't you? I mean, not everything's going to be, rational. Not everything's going to make sense. You're going to have disputes and irritations and fights and stuff. These things happen. But the good news is nobody important dies, which is great. And obviously Danyan is back after he's had his little disappearance time, and he's part of We the People, and he's trying to pull TSV and the rest of them kind of into the group and basically have control over them, which because they want the account, because the account has a big sway over people and they want to reach as many people as possible, get them all under the umbrella of We the People. Really cool establishing stuff. And so a lot of good fun story stuff there. Part 3, it gets a little bit more like interesting, right? Because the agreement is We the People have the account. They have that main TSV account. TSV uses the other 2 Twitter accounts of Tucker and Nat for the time being, and just kind of deal with it. And it's basically, okay, you live with us. You will do what we say. You're kind of prisoners, but we're not going to call you that. But you are prisoners because you don't really get to do anything. You don't really have the luxuries or freedoms to do stuff. But you can still tweet. That's fine. That's just so the story continues going is why that's going on. And obviously, you kind of quickly learn that We the People, maybe they're not such nice guys. Maybe they are kind of demented, a little twisted in the head. Maybe they got some issues. Hard to say, but that's my guess. And obviously, a lot of people have arguments and fights. Tucker likes to get himself in a lot of trouble. Many times gets himself into a different solitary situation, more than once, I believe. And it's quite funny. It's quite funny, but it's a lot more of establishing kind of what We the People is, the people involved with that. They got like goofy nicknames and stuff if they want it. They try to establish what We the People kind of is, or at least this one portion of We the People. I'm not sure if it's bigger than that. It feels like it's meant to be bigger than just this little cluster that they're at, and it could be because like there's a part where you go into a city and there's like graffiti basically everywhere about We the People and stuff. Interesting, really interesting. Hard to say if there's more of them. Could be, could not be. Hard to say. But inevitably, things go wrong. Nothing is great. They decide, we gotta leave. So obviously they have quite a nice little scuffle. The strobe gets stuck on one of the dudes. things go bad. The dudes escape. They get the account back. Everything's all hunky dory. They got rescued by this other resistance group, which don't really have a name. We're just gonna call them like ex-military dudes because kind of later on you kind of see their military garb and everything. You're like, oh, okay, maybe they're just other military resistance fighters who aren't we the people. Cool, great. The good news is they're a little more clued in. They got a little bit more understanding, I would say, in their heads about the fact like people got to stay rational, people got to be smart, we got to work together, blah blah blah. And basically that their idea is, we need to utilize all the tools we got. We need to figure out everything we can about what we're dealing with in the situation, and we need to see if we can even remotely fight back. Which is interesting because they're not talking about fighting other people. They're not worried about other people because they could deal with people. They can't deal with a threat they don't understand. A threat that is shut down governments, countries, worlds, other military segments. It's the point is like whatever this invasionary force is, it is an invasion, but we don't know what they're trying to do, why. It just feels like, I mean, if you ask me, it's almost like, yeah, that there are ships, there are strobes. That's the most we understand. We also know that there's dark water, which we don't know if that was brought because of them. It just kind of started happening. Does it work against them? Hard to say. Like, I mean, the fact that strobes are like reflective sensitive, like there's a lot of really bizarre rules that kind of get established, but we sadly never learn enough about like the alien invaders, which is a bit of a shame. But I think this is more like the dealing with the people part, and then slowly getting back to the more alien based stuff. So it takes a little bit of while to kind of really start getting back into the alien side of things, because ultimately that's how this all started, was some kind of bizarre alien invasion thing that shut down governments and countries and militaries and basically silenced the whole world in a sense. And it's interesting, but then it just kind of becomes a bunch of side stories off of that, Anyway, so we're still in part 3. The government, not the government, the military guys have an idea. They're like, okay, well, let's try to get a strobe. We wanna get a strobe. We're gonna plant him with like explosives and stuff, and we're gonna get him to be picked up by a ship because we believe that they recover the injured ones, the killed ones, whatever. And then when the body full of explosives is on the ship, they're gonna detonate it and blow it up from the inside. And it's like, well, that's quite an idea. Okay, cool. A couple of things kind of go wrong. The plan didn't fully work, but somehow TSV has ended up on the ship, right? That's crazy. So you're like, oh, well, maybe we'll get a little bit of like stuff about the aliens and learn a little bit more about them and stuff. And you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And so he detonates the stuff inside the ship, blows everything up. Oh my god, they took out a ship. It's amazing. Let's not even get into the blood missile thing. Yet again, really silly. Sounds like a very Castlevania thing. Not important. Didn't work. Irrelevant. Let's talk about the good shit. A ship gets taken down at the end of part 3. And it's like, there's a way to fight back, and it's working. Oh my god, but here's where I'm a little disappointed. The alien stuff kind of stops there again for a little while, and it's like, you took out a ship, and you telling me they didn't, like, check out the wreckage? They didn't investigate? We couldn't see like alien bodies. Maybe there's some anatomy, some biology, dissecting. Maybe there's some understanding about stuff. Just it's almost like it didn't happen again, which is a shame. Because with part 4 is interesting. They're still kind of with the military guys there. I think they're like at an abandoned hospital, if I remember right, and they basically taken over the place. They're yet again trying to survive the best they can. TSV's out of the picture, but Nat has taken over TSV's account. That's why throughout the entire story at the moment, it says Nat TSV the Sun Vanished, because it's Nat running the account now. But she's been given permission by TSV before he died that this is what the situation was going to be, because the story's got to keep on going. And Tucker, still does what he does, reluctantly goes along with it, has arguments and fights with people. Pretty great dynamic. Another big dynamic I like is the fact that Nat is more reasonable with people. She did a lot of broadcasting of people's stories and sharing people's experiences, and she was more open to interacting with people. Whereas TSV, not so much. He did it where he had to, and Tucker, also the same, does it where he has to, usually fights people. He's more of a muscle, but I love that about his character. He has no issue being like, Oh, yeah, don't worry about him. I'll take him. He just fights people. Anyway, so part four, we've established that Nat and Tucker, they've survived. They're in this hospital with everybody, and there's these harvested people, right? Which is interesting. Another little kind of dimension and definition dynamic going on, and usually they're kind of a threat. So some of them get taken out, but one of them is a kid, and he's not quite maybe a full harvested. He's maybe kind of halfway, as is described with his features. And even though a lot of the people at this base not really comfortable with this potentially harvested child around, but Nat's like defending him, being like, look, maybe we can get some words out of him. Maybe we can understand what's going on through his head. Maybe he's got more firsthand accounts. He's had to deal with these kind of creatures and stuff. Maybe we can learn more. And it's good that she continues to defend Half Crop. Hilarious, really goofy name. Because eventually we get some really, really awesome drawings. Right? So cool. And I'm sitting there like, ooh, this is nice. This is a nice touch. You get a little bit more of what's going on through drawings. That's quite fun. And he's very good. The art is really, really good. And luckily they end up changing the name of Half Crop to Theseus. And inevitably people kind of just deal with the fact that Theseus is probably not a threat. He seems to be mostly a kid with doesn't really like talking to people, which is fine. Potentially might not be able to talk. It could be that. I can't remember. But it's cool. It's cool that the dynamic is kind of always changing. But then we have another problem. You got like a little segment of Lucid. They're kind of a problem. Not really a problem. Just feels like another We the People clone. Doesn't really work out very well for them. But they weirdly don't fully die. Right? They weirdly don't fully die. Because We the People are still a thing. Lucid feel like they're just an offshoot of them. They're kind of something else. I don't know if they're properly affiliated with them or not. They've got kind of a same thing going on. Hard to say. Hard to say until the very end, but we'll get to that. Because obviously the regular We the People, the ones who like consuming dark water and being just crazy and stuff, they're trying to make amends for all the bad stuff that's happened and all the fighting and things. And we're going to give you food and we just want to be friends. And hey, we want to potentially experiment with that creepy child you've got. It's a lot of fun story stuff. It's a lot of like, ooh, really dark and twisted and horrific things and everything. A murder ends up happening. They blame Tucker because Tucker likes to fight people and he's had arguments with this. Well, he's had a fist fight with this guy before. Things don't go very well. They decide to escape. And inevitably, while Tucker's asleep at one point, Nat discovers through his phone, because buzzing notifications, you can see some stuff on it, that he's been in contact with somebody who ended up kind of help prove that Tucker didn't kill this dude. But he actually did. Tucker did kill this dude. Which is, it's a nice little twist. It's a nice little twist. And it's interesting because it's like, oh, his password is Lucid. And you're like, oh my god, so he's affiliated with these guys. He's struck a deal with them. And blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, it's crazy. And so, yet again, Nat leaves with Theseus. Try to keep away from Tucker. They're all isolated again and stuff. And this is really cool. And then sadly, the story has to go on hiatus from there. It is a shame, but I mean, I do understand. I totally understand. I mean, I know I've got my own projects that may or may not ever, fully see the light of day. These things happen. I totally get it. Whether it be financial or creative problems or, lack of resources. I totally get it. Totally get it. But we got to give credit where credit is due. This story has taken place over years. It's taken years to do. And it is incredibly good. It is very impressive. It is very, very impressive. There's a lot of great pictures, videos, a variety of story accounts. A lot of good creative thoughts have gone into this. It is very impressive. It is very, very impressive. I can definitely see why it is probably the top-rated Twitter ARG story. I mean, obviously you got other ones that are really good too. But I could definitely see why this has always been heavily requested. I mean, it is like I knew quite a bit about The Sun Vanished. I'd probably known the first year or two of its story, but I never really checked out the full thing up to its current point anyway. Because I don't really, I mean, people probably have done videos on them, and I just haven't seen them, which is fine. It happens, you don't see everything, but it's definitely worth covering. And if it ever comes back, if it ever continues, you best believe we're covering it. We will be there. I mean, what's not to love? What a fantastic story. A fantastic story. I mean, yeah, is it perfect? No, of course. There's some little niggles here and there. There's certain things, and I feel like it gets a bit sidetracked to parts, and things get a bit random and stuff like that. But overall, it's very creative. It's very dedicated. I mean, tons of people love it, and I totally get it. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm absolutely a fan. And like I keep rambling, we'll definitely keep at it when it comes back. Oh, I feel like I've expanded all the air in my lungs. I gotta have a lie down. I feel like an old man now. Oh man. Anyway, I'll shut up. This has been Nate at Night. I have thoroughly enjoyed bringing you this story up to its current point, and I sure hope you have too. And hey, creators, keep me in the loop, huh? Or if you ever need some creative help, let me know. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much to my YouTube members and Patreon members for all the love and support. It's thanks to people like you that we can keep growing.